you doing? My name is Denny Boliag. I'm a farmer from north central Iowa. I'm also a distributor for the Drago cornhead in the United States. What I'd like to talk to you about today is really what the Drago can offer you as far as its unique features compared to any other cornhead in the world. Through the years, I've worked with a lot of different equipment to improve my efficiency on the farm. One of the first ones was Concord out of Dakotas. That led to working then with DMI out of Illinois as a consultant, where I traveled and did information meetings to farmers much like yourself. That led then to working for Case IH when Case IH bought Concord. I met people from Europe. When I'm talking to people in Europe and I travel to Europe, I'm looking at products that can improve my farm. One of those was looking at cornheads that can manage residue better than what we had here in the States. But what I found was, instead of being 1 or 2 or 3 cornheads built like what is built in the United States, there are actually 9 companies that build cornheads in Europe. From that competition comes innovation. And I found that the Drago cornhead is the most popular cornhead in Europe. Well, now we can ask for drier corn with a bigger stalk. The next thing is that high energy cost. The impact of high energy cost is to multiple levels, because first it impacts us that we look at how much it costs to dry our corn. With LP going up the way it is, many farmers are shifting to genetics that are earlier than they had before and picking corn that dries down very rapidly. That's a big thing. That has big impact on how our machinery must harvest that corn. The other thing is, with high energy prices, we see more demand for things like ethanol. That means us farmers are going to grow more corn. More corn means more corn on corn, which means better residue management. The Drago can offer better residue management with a simple chopper, but most important of all, and this is a very big priority with the Drago, is to get the yield. Yield is a priority of any cornhead, getting all the yield you grow. And I know, when we look at what difference does a dry ear of corn versus a wet ear of corn make? 10 years ago, when I harvested corn at 28%, I didn't care where my settings were on my deck plates or how high the ear bounced when it hit the corn head, because the corn was wet and hard to shell. Nowadays, I'm harvesting extremely dry corn. That means the corn shells easier. And that same velocity of my old corn heads is too much. And the deck plate settings that I didn't care about is wasteful now. The Drago offers features that can solve these issues immediately and can offer you residue management choices in the future. So hey, why don't you come on with me and let's take a look at the Drago. Thanks. And here it is, the Drago cornhead. This is a Drago row unit. It allows me to show a lot of the unique features. But first of all, who builds the Drago? Drago is built by Olimac from Europe. Olimac is a 3-generation family company that totally focuses in just cornhead production. That focus allows them to do many unique things. Take, for example, their history with deck plates has been electric adjustment, hydraulic adjustment, and now for the last 10 years, automatic on each row. Automatic on each row means that as you go across the field, each row is adjusting itself to the stock size in that particular row. What we have now, or what they had in the past, was hydraulic adjustment deck plates. Hydraulic means that the operator must adjust the deck plate for that corn stalk from the cab. It is a guess at best. Now we're dealing with drier corn. That drier corn, the decisions are much more critical. We can't be guessing. Automatic adjustment deck plates are operated by, very simply, by a spring-loaded piston mounted down on each side. I have here one of those pistons. Okay? This is all it is. No hydraulics, no electronics. Triple sealed, spring-loaded piston. Grease it once a season for lubrication. That gives you your tension. You can adjust that tension. The deck plate has many other unique features too that you do not see on other corn heads. One of those is the rolled edge. The rolled edge does several things. First of all, it acts like a funnel, keeps the leaves more attached to the stalk, pulls it down through. That means less trash in your corn head, less trash in your combine. The depth of the deck plate is very deep, where most deck plates are very shallow. If you're going to steer a plant safely without breaking it off, it's better to do it with a wide surface. If you do a narrow surface, you're more likely to kink and break it. Hydraulic deck plates, only one side moves. That means you are not centered over your roller. That means when you're pulling your corn plant down, it's being pulled down at an angle. With both deck plates of the Drago adjusting, the stalk is always being pulled straight down. Modern day corn rolls off the cob extremely easy. 2 kernels per square foot equal 1 bushel an acre. What difference can it make on return on investment? We've had farmers get 3-4 bushel yield advantage over their older corn heads. What difference does it make if you get 1 more bushel? Say if you ran a Drago for 20,000 acres before you traded off for another one. 1 bushel times 20,000 acres, 20,000 bushels, times $2 corn is $40,000. 2 bushels actually then becomes $80,000. Talk about a return on investment. This corn head can give a better return on investment than any other corn head on the market today. Another very unique feature of the Drago is the self-cleaning deck plates. The ability to self-clean, shake and rattle the dirt completely out so it's trouble-free, works all the time. How that's done is very simply, the deck plates are designed to vibrate. That means as the ear of corn is hitting the deck plate, it creates a vibration. As the combine pushes the head through the field, the deck plates are adjusting constantly to the stalk size. So we have movement left and right and vertically. That shakes the dirt and debris out. It's been extremely trouble-free and dependable. The head angle of the Drago is very flat compared to our competitors. How flat? It's 20 degrees versus competitors at 23 to 28 degrees. That makes an extremely good feeding head because we fight less gravity. So, also, the Drago has gathering chains that we call overlapping. That means the finger of the gathering chain totally overlaps the deck plate. As it moves up, the finger moves back. Drago means dragon. Like a claw, the dragon grabs the stalks, pulls it in, and then lets go. The chain is extremely heavy duty, chrome pinned, has poly chain guides in 5 locations for very smooth operation. A chain tightener that is so simple it should have been invented 30 years ago. Grease it once a season, fills this cavity where our spring is full of grease. That means there's no place for air, water, and dirt to go up into, and it just stays this way year after year. All other corn heads typically are a pipe and an open spring, full of dirt every year, has to get cleaned out. This is just extremely smart. This is what we're used to with our competitors, our red and green competitors. It's a product that's not built by them. It's a disposable product with very cheap bearings. The Drago builds their own hardened cast sprocket with high precision replaceable bearings. Trash shielded, top and bottom. Night and day difference in part quality. The Drago has a chopper option that can be added with just 4 bolts. I'm going to roll the row unit over to show you. The chopper with 4 bolts is mounted directly into the main row unit. Other chopper systems will have a gearbox that wraps around, comes down, and swings the blade in the front half of the knife roller. That is extremely dangerous for several reasons. First of all, yield. If your stock is entering the roller at this time, where is your ear of corn? It's several feet up in the air, being pulled down. Now it's being hit by a knife going 200 miles an hour. That creates vibration and whip and risks heel. The second thing that happens is that when you cut the plant off in the front half of the roller and your deck plates are trying to hold that plant as they should be set properly, if you over squeeze the hydraulic deck plates, you stop the plant from going in and going down. That will instantly add 30 to 40% more trash to the corn head and through the combine, which could affect product separation in the combine itself. So, the Drago does not chop the stalks till the ear is removed. 4 bolts, and we can add the chopper to any Drago. The Drago then, chopper, connects to the big main gearbox. So you have a big reservoir of grease for the chopper. It is not a small independent gearbox as some other corn heads. This makes it extremely simple and extremely efficient. Another thing is that when you have a front mounted chopper, how do you get the power there? You've got to go around the corner, down, back in, and turn it. Every extra gear mesh adds about 2% more horsepower, or the opposite is it reduces the efficiency of the system by 2%. So if you have 5 to 6 more gear meshes, there's 10 to 12% more horsepower to do the same job. The Drago corn head knife rollers have tungsten carbide self-sharpening blades that are adjustable and replaceable. We get extremely good knife wear with this because of the pinch, open up, pull design. That means we use full length wear of the knife. As you can see, the Drago has an extremely long knife roller. This knife roller with 22.5 inches versus 15 inches for our competitors means that we have 50% more time to bring the corn down slow. The slower you bring the corn down, the less velocity, the less ear bounce, the less shelling you have. That is a very critical thing. Now, the Drago corn head also has a knife-to-knife design. That means the knives come together, pinch and pull the plant down, and do not create the whipping action that an intermeshing roller would. Our diameter is smaller. We have less tip speed, 11 miles an hour versus maybe 15 to 20 miles an hour for other corn heads. That makes a big difference on ear velocity. If you truly want to reduce shelling, you must reduce the velocity of the ear hitting the deck plate. The Drago with a super long knife roller needs support on the end. Instead of one bearing or one bushing, the Drago corn head uses a shaft with 2 bearings and 2 seals. When you grease it, you're filling both bearings plus a reservoir of grease and then pushing the dirt away from the outside seal. Why is this very important and makes the Drago very durable is that if you take short knife rollers, they're very short and stubby. They don't need support on the end. But if you run anything up between them, it'll spread, possibly break a shaft or a gearbox. The Drago bearings are designed to be able to flex. They have slip points here between the row units, so if you run an obstacle up between the Drago knife rollers, the forgiveness is there, and it's time for the slip clutch to react. And right now, I'd like to show you just how simple the Drago corn head is. I'm going to take and remove a number of the different components of the Drago corn head because it's a component replacement system. There is no shimming in their gearboxes. That is very unique. There's only one other company in Italy that can shim a gearbox so precisely, and that is Ferrari for the engine block of the Ferrari. So I'm going to take the chopper off, the knife roller off, take the top of the gearbox off to show you the component quality and the simplicity of the Drago corn head. Drago chopper unit off. The knives are replaceable, reversible. They're a tungsten carbide blade. And to take the chopper off, you simply take 4 bolts. That's your chopper, right here. After you remove the skid plate, you simply just remove the 2 studs that hold the bracket that holds the bearing. Simply pop the knife roller out of the hex socket. Now I'm going to remove for you the top sprocket component of a Drago row unit. All other competitors run a bushing that takes many hours to remove and replace. The Drago, with 4 studs, take the component out, service or replace it. First, we release the tension on the chain. 4 studs. And pop the component off. In my hand, then, you have a component that has 2 bearings with a gap in between, a reservoir of grease in between, for long life. Okay, I'm going to remove the lower fork on the Drago spring chain tensioner. Simply remove the grease zerk, pull the hardened shaft PTO material that it's made of apart, and see that it's simply a spring with a limiter rod. The slot here is for the grease to fill the compartment. Put it back in. Reinstall the zerk. Now I'm going to show you how simple it is to remove a deck plate from a Drago corn head. Simply remove the chain, and then you have 4 studs, 2 up here, 2 down here. You remove. And you pop the deck plate out. You can see the rolled edge. You can see the depth of the deck plate. The deck plate also has nuts welded on for no extra wrench. Easy removal. The deck plates are extremely hard, super hardened for very long life. Now with the top sprocket removed, I want to show you how massive and how strong and how well built the Drago gearbox is. You can see the main counter shaft here. It's built extremely heavy. The gearbox has an extremely large reservoir that you fill and check from the top, and it has a dipstick. The grease we run is mobile EPO grease, a more fluidy grease than what other people use. This grease comes in a 5-gallon bucket with a pumper, and you simply put the hose in here, fill it till grease comes out. No pumping with a handgun. Now, with the upper sprocket component removed, we can show you the inside of the Drago gearbox. The cross shaft is extremely heavy compared to any other cross shaft. This is the cross shaft of the John Deere corn head. Been a very durable corn head, but here is the same part with the Drago. Night and day difference. This head is built extremely well. It's built heavy to accept the chopper. The angled gathering chains of the Drago also serve another purpose. If a corn stalk or anything would hesitate in front of the deck plate, the gathering chain finger overlapping pushes the stalk into the deck plate, actually giving it the power to open it up. So I'm going to do an example using this handle. Say this is a stalk and it hesitates in front of the deck plate. See how the finger actually pushes the stalk into the deck plate, opening it up. I remove the stalk or the handle, the deck plate snap back.
We had a combine that was doing a fantastic job, but a corn head that was less than ideal in the field. With a lot of the newer technologies in the seed business, one of the really good things about the new seed technology is that it dries down very rapidly in the field. That's great from a grain drying cost standpoint, but it makes it really tough to harvest. And we're experiencing so much grain loss on our corn head that we are really looking to do something different.
Where our other heads, when we're picking 16 to 18% corn, it'd be nothing to see, you know, a array of golden kernels laying on the ground, which means you're getting head loss, which we used to always figure was acceptable because that's the price we pay for picking dry corn.
Seem to be losing a lot of corn, and it seems like it's either worse when it's really tough or when the grain gets really dry. It just, you know, it wants to fly out of the head.
It's just a whole new world when you start getting down that dry and shelling that. Those ears just explode.
I would say it wasn't that big a deal. I think we thought we were doing a pretty good job, don't you, Rich?
Yeah, we had the combine set as close as we could get them, and we thought we were doing a pretty good job until we got the Drago, and we found out what actually the difference was.
I would say there's less shelling with the Drago than other heads I'm familiar with because of their self-adjusting stripper plates.
The self-adjusting deck plates are very important, and I don't think we really realized it when we bought it, but as we've got into it now, if they're not working, we're crying. And I mean, the idea of being able to go across the field and adjust automatically, I mean, it's just another, how can I say, another job that the operator doesn't have to do. And there isn't, I don't think there's anybody that you can't see those deck plates and you're constantly guessing. I know other people that have hydraulically adjusted ones, and they said, you know, they're better off almost leaving them in one spot and not monkeying with them because they're always wrong.
Geringhoff had hydraulic adjustable stripper plates, and you never knew for sure where you wanted those, and if you did move them, if you got them open too far and the debris built up in them, you couldn't close them again.
They were always filled up with debris, and you couldn't get them back closed. So you took it to the shop and blew all the debris out and pounded on them with a hammer and get them back where they should be because they were stuck. Where the ones on the Drago move back and forth as you go down the road, and they're always loose. And they take care of it themselves by the pressure, just spring-loaded pressure. They adjust themselves as you go.
You cannot manually or physically, as a human being looking at that, adjust your plates on the go and do as good a job as those self-adjusting plates would do. They just do a fantastic job.
It's tough, even yourself, it's tough to adjust those deck plates constantly from one spot to the other. And our soils that we farm vary from heavy to sandy knolls, all within the same round. And to be disciplined enough to adjust the deck plates all the time, it's tough. And today's modern convenience, next thing you do, you find yourself on the cell phone and you're like, oh shoot, I should have narrowed them up or whatever. So it's just one of those things that it's a disciplined thing to do it all the time, and I just didn't think myself or putting other people in there we'd be able to do it and do it properly.
Only one row or one side, one deck plate adjusted, and as soon as you adjust one deck plate, you're misaligning that stock coming into the roller, and at that point in time you're opening yourself up to more field loss because it's pulling the stock at a bad angle.
I tell you what, after running a corn head that had the hydraulic deck plates on it, we demoed one, and after seeing this one that self-aligns itself or self-adjusts itself, I tell you what, there's no comparison. I mean, there is no comparison. 2 years ago we ran two combines, and I ran the one with the hydraulic deck plates, and I found myself not getting them narrowed up quick enough on the sandy knolls, and I would look down and we were shelling corn like crazy. The ground would be just covered with corn, and I would go beside
the Drago and look at it, it was just, you had to look to see a kernel on the ground. And when our soil variances that we have, it's just a, oh golly, it's a luxury not to have to adjust them all the time that we take for granted. And the head losses, I mean, from that, just adjusting them, having them adjusted properly and accurately, it's just phenomenal.
I don't know how you could adjust a hydraulic deck plate to fit the situation as quick as this does, because it adjusts. If it hits one narrow stalk, it's already adjusting for that stalk. It's not 10 stalks later, it's finally getting adjusted right.
That's probably one of the most advanced technologies that the Drago has over every head today. And I think it just makes so much sense to have both deck plates adjust and have it adjust automatically.
You just didn't see any corn loss. You'd go so many feet, you stop the machine, you back up, and you just didn't see anything underneath the head.
2 years ago, Rich and I always set I call it our combine, the combine we use here on our farm. And that had the Drago on. And the other combine had a Case IH corn head on. And I went out to the field the same day with both of them and helped set them. And it was just unbelievable, the job the Drago does over the 1083.
Yeah, the differences between the way the Drago harvests corn and our previous corn head, they couldn't be more stark, the differences. Biggest thing, the stock rolls run slower, the angle is less steep, and those ears, when they come off of the stock, they roll off of the stock, and they're not hitting that stripping plate so hard that shelled corn is flying everywhere. That's the first thing that you notice, is just how much more gently it's handling those ears. And as I mentioned earlier, the drier that corn is in the field, the more important that is, because it's a much smoother operation. It isn't that violent contact with the stripper plates.
We got done harvesting before he did, and we took the combine with the Drago out there and did some harvesting for him. And his first comment was, I don't need to get out of my pickup and look. It's obvious there's no corn on the ground.
One of the things we've noticed that it's been very, very aggressive in down corn. We haven't had any years where, the whole field is laying flat, but you'll have the end rows, where they come together or something and they're down. And we've had different times where, you'll be driving, quite a ways through the headlands. I know there's one farm just not from where we're standing now, where the headlands came in at an angle and all the corn went down because of such a high population. And we drove through that. That was at night, and I think I was doing 5.5, 6 miles an hour with a combine with the snoots just barely on the ground, and it was picking everything up. We went back, and the corn wasn't a foot off the ground, and it was picking everything up and throwing it in the combine. We went back the next day during the daylight and looked, and it was clean. It's in a very aggressive head, and it's worked out very well on some of that. Once it grabs the stalk, it pulls it in. And the other part is that when the ears hit the snoots and stuff, they die versus bounce. And we don't have the bounce of those ears from flying back out.
Between the gearing off and the Drago, the Drago just seemed to keep going no matter what conditions you ran into, and you never plugged up and had to back up and reverse the head, unplug things, and it just seemed like the day went a lot easier and you could get more acres done.
When the conditions got a little tough, a little spitty rain, they had to shut down because their head loss was so phenomenal that it didn't warrant continuing picking. We were able to keep harvesting, and I kind of watched it. We were able to keep harvesting that fall several days that other people had to shut down. We harvested in rain a couple times, but our head loss was not to the point that I felt it even close to even justified shutting down. We shut down because it got too muddy and too slippery and in that kind of inclement conditions, but the head loss wasn't there. Well, lo and behold, at the end of the fall, we were done. Other people that were still harvesting, we had a bunch of snow, took some corn down, and I contributed a lot of us being done is because we were able to harvest in them inclement conditions of spitty drizzle, rain, and that gave us that edge that we were done. Otherwise, we would have had those snow and adverse conditions to deal with at the end. We were able to deal with it in the middle of the season, which it wasn't that bad. But that fall, to me, it was hard to put a price tag on being done in somewhat decent conditions. Because like I say, I know a lot of people that we had that heavy snow, they waited for a week for the snow to melt, and we were done, and like I said, contributed all to we were able to keep harvesting because of the corn head.
With this head running slower, you don't have ears flying out, you don't have shell corn hitting the deck plate and splashing out, which we did see a lot in our other head. It just seemed like every angle of the harvest, it was doing a better job of getting the corn into the combine and not losing it before it got there.
I felt very comfortable that this head saved enough for me that it made the payments. And anytime I can buy an asset that will pay for itself or make the payments, I tell you what, I'll do that every year, any day.
I think if you wanted to put a pencil to losses, I guess I'm figuring at minimum you'd save 3 bushel an acre, and just say $2 a bushel. You know, you're talking $6 an acre times 20,000 acres. That's $120,000 over, whatever it takes you to do that.
I think as costs get higher and it's harder to make a profit, people are looking at field loss more. They're looking at the cost of shredding stalks. Another big thing would be with this BT corn, trash is such an issue. You almost have to size it to get rid of it.
Well, the last time I remember that we bought a brand new stalk chopper, 6-row stalk chopper, and it was the second year for it, as I remember, and the guy I hired was an older fella, but it's the same no matter what. And I'd see him by the shop all the time, putting new knives on it or putting belts on it, and then the bearings started to go out of it. And I found out that the guy running the chisel plow once in a while plug up because you drove on half of the stalks or more with the combine and the grain cart and everything else, the trucks. So every once in a while it was a little bit tough. The chisel plow would plug up, and then he'd run a little lower until he run into the dirt so much he had the machine ruined. Besides, I had to try to hire somebody that would do it for only 10 days or 3 weeks, and it was hard to get somebody really good to do that, So I decided if you could chop the stalks on the go, eliminate one tractor, eliminate the stalk chopper, and you'd probably get them all chopped instead of just part of them that way.
One of the reasons we looked at the Drago head was the ability to chop their corn stalks and size the residue that we left on top. We found that with the introduction of a lot of the new technologies in the corn industry, BT mainly, the corn stalks are just a lot bigger, a lot girthier, just a lot more residue on the fields, and the residue was just becoming an issue as far as being able to get do a decent job with tillage and then manage that residue when it came planting time the next year. We were to the point where we were having to run a stock chopper to do that, and that was another pass, more fuel and more labor, and so we were looking for an opportunity to kind of combine those two processes.
We're basically running one set of blades a year on 14 to 1,500 acres, 1,400 some plus acres. We switch them about halfway through the year. No different you kind of do with your lawnmower, except you're not sharpening it. We don't, so I mean, it's a set of knives a year, and I mean, we ran a lot of stock choppers, and I'll switch these knives before switching all the blades on a stock chopper any day of the week.
Yeah.
It isn't, a one bolt per blade.
Maintenance-wise, The Drago, we never had any breakdowns with that. The chains seemed to stay tight and everything worked well. Where the gearing Hoff, if we didn't totally go through the knives in the cutting system before the season started, we were changing knives during the season and putting new knives on and rearranging the discs and so forth all during the year to keep it working.
I've got a little bit of an engineering background, and and working with equipment and over the years, and I mean, we were impressed about the simplicity and some of the older machines. If you have to pull a snapping roll and a gear goes out, you're there for a while. Where this is, I think it's 4 or 6 bolts, and you've got the snapping rolls out in your hand, and the gear's out, and put another one in, and it's just the simplistic way the thing is built, and yet very, very strong.
They're built so heavy. I mean, gathering chains and sprockets instead of a tin, like down on the bottom, instead of a tin, I call them tin. They're a press riveted together idler wheel. It's cast iron with a heavy-duty bearing in it, and it's just, that's another thing. It's built way better.
How they run a bigger sprocket on the bottom of the tightener, or on the idler, basically for the gathering chain, which our other corn heads ran a smaller one, and you greased them, which was absolutely, we come to find out later, was a joke because it wasn't working anyway. Here they run a bigger one, a replaceable bearing, so you're not having to replace the whole sprocket, and not only that, but you can replace when it gets wore out on one side of the teeth, you can flip that over and wear the other side. They give so much thought about getting double the life out of a lot of the wear parts on it.
One of the really nice features of the Drago head is that everything is componentized on that. In other words, it comes out in a component. So if you have an issue with the gearbox or one of the chopper blades or something, the maintenance is so simple on there. It was really the design is so good, that it makes maintenance pretty simple on there.
Because it's made to be worked on. Not that you have to work on it, but when it comes time to work on it, and I don't care what color you run, green, silver, red, or yellow, there's a time that stuff needs to be worked on. And this thing is designed to be worked on. And that is very user-friendly. It's something that we did not have with our other corn heads.
The technical assistance we've gotten has just been fantastic from both Denny Boliag and the dealers, the mechanics at Arnold's.
When it come to us, we didn't even have to adjust it. We just put it on, and Arnold's had it all set up before it ever come. Everything was perfect. It fit right on, and it was at the right height. Everything was, didn't have to do anything. Just, he dropped it off and left. We put it on and went to combine.
We've had zero problem getting parts. Initially, we worked directly through Dennis Boliag because there wasn't a dealer in this area, but he's since brought in some fantastic dealers in Minnesota. Arnold's big operation with multi-store locations, and parts is just absolutely a non-issue.
Well, the first year we mounted it on the combine, we evidently didn't have the pitch set right on the throat, and the back of the corn head was sitting down too low, and we hit a rock and took out a gearbox, and I wasn't real happy with it, and I don't think Dave was either, but come to find out, we had the setting wrong on the throat, and Denny sent up, wasn't it Denny?
Yeah, the amazing part about that was I never called Denny. We just went and got a gearbox and put it on. I think, did we go to Mason City Red Power? We went and got a gearbox, and they called Denny to get a gearbox, so they had one on hand, and Denny said, "Who wrecked the gearbox?" And they said David did. And we still hadn't talked. And the next morning, Denny sent up a service truck and 3 people and adjusted the head. And we haven't gotten a gearbox yet. And I didn't call him and say we had a problem. He knew it. When they come to reorder a gearbox, he knew we had a problem and he took care of it immediately.
Pretty good service, huh?
Yes, it was. Excellent service.
And they had all kinds of, we didn't need anything but adjustment, but they had everything on that truck to get you going, no matter what was wrong. And that's one thing you tell people: you got a corn head that's made in Italy. Where do you get parts? Where do you get service? That's not an issue. That's not a problem.
They were very accommodating as far as getting us the parts and getting them in our possession where we could keep going. And that part was phenomenal. It's tough to find that in today's world. People don't want to go that extra mile, and we come to realize that they were willing to do that, go that extra mile to keep us up and running. And for my operation, and I'm sure a lot of people's operation, that's a valuable thing to have.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise to see. You know, the price of the heads have come up, but the resale value on that Drago head is really impressive. Previous to that, I had a corn head that had the same name as my combine, and I won't mention it, but the resale on that head was not real good. So we were pleasantly surprised when we saw how strong of a resale value that Drago had maintained.
He called me and he needed a used 8-row, and I traded, so he had a used 8-row to sell to the guy that wanted a used one. There was no reason to trade.
Absolutely, we've been satisfied with the head. We bought the head. Honestly, I would say that we bought the head. Our main issue at the time was the stock chopping ability of it. But as we've run that head and covered, like I say, probably 5,000 acres with it, the strength of that head is the ability to save that corn, you know, to harvest the grain that's out there in the field, and the chopping ability is just icing on the cake for us. We're sold, absolutely sold on the way that head puts the grain in the combine, and what we get done besides that is just a bonus.
And actually, the guy that rode in it and seen it, he hires his corn combine by his neighbor, and he actually talked his neighbor into buying one.
Just a head that does what it's supposed to. It actually has over-exceeded my expectations as far as head loss.
Well, I think we're talking about something that's a good outfit, so it don't mind me to express my thoughts on it, because I think it's something that anybody tried, he'd be happy with it. If I didn't, I wouldn't be telling you that.
This is not a fad. It's not a toy. It's something that works, and it works very well.
It's just a well-balanced head, and everything is very well engineered, I think. It's just ahead of its time, I guess, in my mind.
As far as if I would buy another one, I am basically kind of green to the core, as all my friends and stuff have come to know me by. But on the same token, it wouldn't even hesitate to buy another one. There's no reason why I would want to go to a different corn head, because in my book, there's not a corn head out there that will meet the expectations and do what we want it to do and do what this one does. Like I say, this one actually is to the point where it more than makes the payment, so to me it's paying for itself. And it's hard to find a piece of equipment that'll do that.
I hope you can see after this demonstration why I feel the Drago corn head is the best built, best engineered corn head in the world. It's a system of features working together to harvest the corn perfectly. Get a chance, go see your dealer, have an opportunity to buy a world-class corn head for your world-class combine. Thank you very much.